Hey guys, my name is Lucas and today I'm going to talk to you about how to reduce stress in your life. Usually stress comes from not having the time to accomplish everything that you need to do or everything that you want to do. There's so many things we all want to do in life. We want to play a lot of video games, we want to watch all the series, we want to watch that movie our friend recommended. Then we have to work and we have to take care of our family, we have to go grocery shopping, we have to take care of the car, the house, the yard, and there's just so much stuff. And sometimes it just feels like we don't have time to do it all. And everything just adds up and it creates this tremendous stress in ourselves, which reduces our health and makes us mad and angry and frustrated, and stress is just all over a negative thing. So here are my 4 steps on how to reduce the stress that you perceive in life. The first step is to realize that you have all the time in the world to do most important things. You don't have very little time, you have your entire life to figure things out. We usually get really stressed about the big things, like finding someone that you love and can marry and that you can spend the rest of your life with, finding a place to live that is just perfect and where it is and having all the right conditions met, and finding a job and becoming successful so that you have a lot of money and can live a happy life for your family and yourself. And those things really stress us because we want to have them now. We don't want to wait for it, we just want it right now. We want to have the perfect relationship partner, we want to have the perfect house, and we want to have the perfect job that's fun and where we get a lot of money without having to work really hard. But it won't come that fast. And if you realize that, you'll be a lot less stressed because you have time. No one is stressing you to get that perfect life other than yourself. Only because society made this plan that you have to follow, where you have to have the perfect job right away, and your first marriage should be the perfect partner, and you should have the perfect house by the time you're 30, doesn't mean that you need to have all the stuff by then. The only one who chooses how fast you need it is you. You choose when you want it, and therefore you choose how stressed you're going to be about it. But take a chill pill, people. You don't have to do it that fast. Maybe your first job won't be the perfect one. Maybe your first relationship won't be the perfect one. Maybe your first marriage won't be the perfect one. It's okay. As long as you realize that you have the time and don't try to stress it, you may then end up taking longer with relationships, maybe having more relationships, and then the one marriage you go into may be the perfect one. But it won't happen if you just go into it really fast and if you just stress yourself out to have everything perfect right away. Realize you have the time. Some people don't find the perfect partner until they're 50 or 60, and then they still end up being completely happy. And others don't find the perfect job when they're 30. They may need another 10 years. But it's okay. Don't stress yourself. The more you stress yourself about these things, the faster you get into things that aren't perfect and the less happy you will be. Step 2 is just to accept that sometimes you will be stressed and that you have stress right now. Because most often we worry so much that we're stressed that it stresses us out even more, and then we become more stressed, and then that stresses us even more, and then it's just this shitstorm of things that we can't handle, and it's just too much, and then we just want to sleep and forget it all, and then we have even less time to do it. Except that sometimes there will be times where you have a lot to do and where you will be stressed and where everything just seems to rumble over one another and where everything just seems to hit you all at once. It's okay. Those times happen too. Everyone experiences some stress at some point in their life, but if you accept it, you will not get stressed out by the stress. You will have the stress and that will be stressful in itself, but you won't get more stressed out because you have the stress. So just accept it, okay? Right now things are a little bit hectic, there's a lot to do, I accept that I have a lot to do and little time, and then you can work on it. Then you can break it down and figure out what things to do next. If you just have a lot to do, that time will pass too. It will go away. Eventually you'll have everything done. But if you get upset about it and stressed about it, then the experience will be a lot worse than it already is. And it doesn't need to be that way. So step 3 is just to break it down. Take things one at a time. If you have 50 things to do, don't worry about having to do 50 things. Organize them by priority and then look at the first thing. And then worry about the one thing first. And then once that's done, worry about the next thing. Because if you worry about 50 things, then you're always thinking, oh shit, I have 50 things to do. And it's just so much and I don't know how I'm going to handle it and I don't know what I'm going to do. Take it easy, make a plan. How much time do you need for everything? What's the best way to approach this? And then take it one thing at a time. Let's say one thing needs 2 hours to do. And you schedule that time. And then you say, okay, in these 2 hours, I will only worry about that one thing and will focus on doing that one thing. And then if you do it for every little thing, you realize that suddenly you only have 49 things, and then only have 48, and then suddenly there are 40 things to do, and then 20, and then 10, and then suddenly you're done. But having to worry about 50 things is so huge because you try to do everything at once, and then you get nothing done perfectly, and then that stresses you out even more than doing one thing at a time. And then most of you don't realize the time you have to do these things. Let's say you have a week to do these 50 things, and it just seems like 7 days, that's so little time. How am I going to do this? Well, what if you think about it a different way? Let's say then you have to sleep a little bit less, so you sleep 6 hours every day. So if you take 6 hours to sleep every day, that means for the entire week you still have 126 hours to do whatever you need to do. And if you have those 50 things to do, that means you have 2.5 hours per thing to finish it. And that's by doing 50 things. Most of us don't have 50 things to do at once. That was an exaggeration. But even then, you still have 2.5 hours in a week to do those things. So just look at time in a different aspect and suddenly you'll realize you have a lot of time to even do those 50 things. And then lastly, step 4 is to reward yourself for having accomplished everything. Take time off as well. Don't spend 126 hours in that week working on it. That's way too much and you'll get so burnt out that after that week you just want to sleep for another week. But if you take time to reward yourself, let's say just out of those 126 hours, you take 25 hours during the week to just reward yourself and set time aside for those rewards. Let's say you want to watch a movie. Then after you worked 8 hours, you just sit back, relax, make yourself some coffee or some hot chocolate, sit in your bed, turn on your laptop or your TV and watch that movie. And then relax and let everything else go from your mind. Because you scheduled that time as well. That time is set too. Time to reward yourself. Because then when you reward yourself, you realize, oh, great, I did a lot of work and then something good came afterwards. Then you'll train your brain to do more work because you get rewarded afterwards. It's a simple conditioning process where you train yourself to be excited about the work because of the reward. But the reward has to be adequate to your work. Meaning if you work your ass off for 8 hours, then you have to have a really amazing reward. And it may be buying yourself something that you really wanted for a long time because you deserve it. Or just watching that movie that you've wanted to watch for ages but never got around to. Take the time to reward yourself. Work and play go hand in hand and you need to have both of them to not get burned out. Both of them are equally as important. That means if you're the person who just plays all day, that's not the best thing either, because then you get stressed out about not having done any work. And if you work the entire time, then you get stressed out for not having played enough. So balance out your life. Some of you may need to work more and play less. Others need more playtime and less work time. There's a different balance for everyone. But the point is to just reward yourself with the playtime too. Don't forget it. And the last thing I want to tell you is that even if you do not get everything done on your plate, even if you end up only finishing 25 out of those 50 tasks, you're going to be okay. It's not going to be that way, that because you didn't finish those 25 things, you get struck by lightning and die. That doesn't happen. Somehow you will still be okay. You may not finish everything, and that's fine. That's why you prioritize and you get the important stuff out of the way first. And then whatever you didn't get done, you just didn't get done. There's no way you could have done that. Because if you work 100 hours in a week to get everything done, and you end up only completing 25 out of those 50 things, then it was impossible for you to do more. If you work hard, then that's the best you can do. And if you realize that, then even not completing everything that's on your plate is still okay. And at the end of the day, those things do not determine your happiness. If you do not complete every little thing, it doesn't mean you will never ever be able to be happy again. You will still get the chance to be happy. Happiness is not bound by those things you didn't get done, or by the things you did get done. So all in all, try to reduce the stress in your life, because the stress does not need to be there. You put the stress on yourself, which means you can take it off as well. Sometimes it may not seem that way, and sometimes everything seems to go wrong. Then it's even more important that you just take a little bit of time to think about it. Take time off, ignore everything around you, and just figure it out. Because you will be able to figure it out. I believe in that. I really believe that whatever comes in your life, you can figure it out. Figured out everything up till now as well. And somehow it all turned out okay. Somehow you ended up where you are right now. You ended up here. And that's not a bad place to be. You're still okay, and you already had a lot of stressful times. And some more will come, and you'll be okay as well. Just don't let the stress control your life. Try to work through those stressful times, and at the end of the day, you'll realize it wasn't that much. You were able to handle it all, and you can still smile even though you had so much shit going on.